Welcome to the Purpose with Purvis Show. I'm Jacklyn Purvis, and I'm here with my dad, my mentor, my business partner, Jamie Purvis. We're the father-daughter coaching team and co-founders of the Be Do Have movement. Each week, we're going to be diving into real-life strategies, inspiring stories to help you dream big, find your purpose, and take actionable steps towards living the life you've always wanted. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share to get the latest episodes first. Let's get started.
Dear Realtors, we're back with this week's segment. We're excited to dive in because we just wrapped up our Power Plan Live. There was a lot to cover, and I want to tap into a little bit of that today to see if any of the struggles as you're listening to this, if this is something that you've gone through as well. So we're going to get into some advice, some solutions, some applications that you can take away from today. So as we dig into that, there was a ton of participation on this, which I loved. And there was a ton of openness around what was going on for realtors in the industry. So, Jamie, what would you say was the biggest challenge shared in the live, or even perhaps on some of the follow-ups that you've been having with agents?
I think financial struggle or behind on their goals. It seemed to be very prevalent across the board that the year hasn't been what everyone expected at the beginning of the year, where they are behind on their current numbers, feeling some financial pressure and stress right now. I think that's probably the biggest thing that surfaced and was validated. I believe we knew that going into the call, but to hear it again from almost 40 people on the call, that this is what they've been going through, just makes us fully aware that now is the right time to stay focused, stay committed to helping them.
And financial struggles, like some of them were being really honest too with how much that impacts how you're showing up as an agent. What have you seen on a deeper level and as an outcome from those income struggles happening now for a period of time for some people in their business?
Sense of scarcity, like I need now business, and there's this urgency. I got to get business now. Unfortunately, that comes across when you're speaking with somebody. It comes across that this person's putting pressure on me. They're trying to close me. Sometimes we don't even know we're doing that, and we don't do it intentionally. But if we have this running below the surface that we need to make money, that comes across as pressure for people. And ironically, what it does is it pushes deals away from us. We don't know what's happening, right? We just think, oh, nobody wants to buy or sell, and I really need to do this deal. When we start to follow up with people and we're hunting them down, that's what it feels like from the client's perspective. We're causing that as realtors. As a result, it's actually pulling us further away from our goal, and it's counterintuitive.
What are you finding that's coming up from a mindset or emotional standpoint for agents right now?
You
What's
mean by
going on?
money?
So when you say they're struggling with their income, how is that showing up for them specifically in their business?
I think it's showing up that they're procrastinating. They're not doing what maybe they know they should be doing, which is connecting with people, focusing on how do I help people every day buy or sell real estate, reaching out and just checking in with your existing clients. Like, how are you doing? That came up on the call, like this whole idea of who is your dream client and defining who that dream client is, and then helping them, just reaching out and reconnecting with them, building the relationship. Right now is a perfect time of year. As we close up the year, it's a great time to connect with people. Hey, how are you doing? How is the year? What are your holiday plans? What's your goal for next year? Even though that doesn't feel like it's business related, it's relationship related. And as a result, business is a byproduct. Procrastination is fear. What do I say? We get focused on ourselves and what we're going through. Other people are going through likely the same thing. Be that leader and reach out and connect. I think that is something we should be doing, but likely not happening.
To add to that, something we've started this live with is going into the business blocks, the specific areas that are showing up. I'm curious if anyone listening to this afterwards is experiencing this. Some of the specific ones coming up here were self-doubt getting in the way. I'm not consistent in my lead gen right now, and conversion is low database, competitive rate. It's even leading to being worried about health. So I find that fascinating because it seeps into other areas. Not having the leads is showing up as not having the energy, attitude, or motivation around money or to keep going. Not sticking to a schedule, lower conversion, market sales and volume is low. Someone specifically said, I have limiting beliefs about myself as an agent. I don't want to trouble my sphere or clients with sales talk right now. And again, not enough leads. So when we talk about not enough leads, something we've seen obviously is how you're approaching or how often are you being consistent with your outreach with your people right now. And it's fair to say how challenging that can be to keep up that motivation. Like, how can agents keep going with that when it feels like it's not happening? Because it's understandable that motivation starts or stops showing up.
Yeah, I think it's understanding like, what we do. This is what we do. Our job is to reach out and connect with people. And if you really drill down on your numbers, you can track your results. We like to call them connection calls, just reaching out to my CRM, my database, my clients, people on your phone, just reaching out and connecting with people and reframing that concept. I have to sell to them. It feels like pressure. What did that one person say? I don't want to bother my sphere. If we're reaching out and asking them how they're doing and just checking in, is that a bother? And I think that's the first question. When's the last time somebody called you and just checked in to say, "Hey, how you doing?" We all get those calls, whether somebody's calling to sell us duct cleaning or furnaces or just cold calls. And that's icky, right? You can tell the person is just doing a job, they're reading a script. And it's partly why very few people even answer the phone. They just try to avoid that. Yet to promote the workshop, I was texting people I know. I was sending email invitations, reaching out on LinkedIn. We set out a lot of invitations, and those that were interested based on their needs showed up. If somebody was busy, no problem. Thanks for letting me know. Others, I'm not interested. I don't take any of that personal. And I think that's probably a deeper underlying belief is that we can't take what we do personally. If somebody says no, it just means not right now. They're not interested in what your offer is. But you don't have to sell everybody every time. And I think that's a disconnect that a lot of people have. And when you're caught up in that, I need a deal, I got to get a deal because I got to get paid, I need money, then you think you have to sell everybody. And that now is icky because it comes through you in your language, right? It's pressure packed.
And that's why during the live, we went through this process to help agents figure out, and anyone listening, start to think about who your dream client is and how you found that person. Going back to a simplified level, who's been your favorite client that you've ever worked with, where they were a joy, you jived, it worked out well, your communication was great, they were responsive. Think about that person, that name, and how you connected with them in the first place. Lean into that. That's the biggest focus here. And it's doing more of that in a way where you are disciplined because it feels good for you. I find that word motivation so fascinating because most people, you're not motivated. Even the top performers aren't motivated every day, but they're disciplined. And I think it's important to start to look at that as a skill you can develop. So even when you're having bad days, like what's the bare minimum you're going to do to keep that flow happening?
If you're motivated because you want something, you're going to be disciplined to do what's required to get that. Now, are there going to be opportunities that show up every day that can cause you to question that? Absolutely. Like, and we have this self talk. Then I caught myself and it was like, no, get your lazy butt out of bed and go to the gym. The hardest part is putting my legs over the edge of the bed and getting up. Once you're up, you're in momentum, right? And I've staged my mornings. Everything's ready on the dining room table. I get up, change, and leave. Is our business set up the same way? I think that's the key piece. It's almost like this champion's mindset. Champions do what they have to do when nobody's looking. Are you doing what you have to do to achieve your goal? The motivation has to come from within. And when you're motivated, the next step is accountability. How are you staying accountable? Who's helping you stay accountable? It could be a schedule, it's self accountability, like my self talk this morning get up. Well, who's around you? What system do you have in place? Who's coaching you? Who's mentoring you? Who's your support system? The minute we don't follow through, that can become a habit. And that's where these habits ultimately reflect what our results and habits often show what you're not doing or what you are doing, but they're showing exactly what's going on behind the scenes.
Let's be honest, as a realtor, that should be your number one thing, connecting with your clients in a way that feels good for you and authentic for you, and building your business in a way where you have those habits in place to keep up that discipline. So you'd feel motivated to keep going because all those systems are in place. Now, there's also a bunch of other areas in your business, right? There's how you're showing up as an agent, how you're developing your skill set as an agent, staying on track with the goals that you're setting in your business or starting to set them in the first place. Like I could go on and on. There's a million other things you're doing right now. And I want to talk a little bit about the repeatable revenue roadmap. It's built to help through every single area so that you are generating 75,000 or more every 90 days on a consistent basis in a way that feels good for you. And I think that's very vital to talk about because it's a holistic combination of your business, of course, outcomes that you want in your real estate business, but also who you are as an agent, who you desire to be as an agent, and how you shift who you are to get that result in your business. And I want to dig into that a little bit more. How does this program address the challenges that we were just talking about coming up, right? So that was self-doubt coming up. That was a lack of leads coming up, lack of income right now.
Yeah, I think community, first of all, and system, which causes support. So community, systems, and support. So having a community of like-minded people that are on the same path. That showed up this year. Did the program multiple times throughout the course of the year. The value of having others that are on the same journey, because often, especially in real estate, you can be a lone wolf. It feels like a very lonely business. And then we can get caught up in our mind. Whereas this program, we've designed it specifically based on a process. So every week we have something that we learn, something that we implement, and then something that we can talk about that might be showing up as a block. If we can override the blocks and do it in a community environment, feel the support. And as a result, there's a sense of self accountability that shows up because you'll be sharing what you want to do. Once you've put it out there and verbalized it, at the end of the day, we all have to look in the mirror and what's our word worth, right? So we have to be willing to commit and follow through. The process that we've really established is that, okay, let's get clear on what you want. And we did that on the power plan workshop. Like, what's your year? Imagine the next 12 months. How do you want to end the year? Then we broke it down to 90 days. So now we have a 90-day vision. And we do that and take it deeper in the roadmap because when you have that clarity of what's next, motivation will be attached to it. And then you're going to find that you have the desire to show up for yourself and do the things you need to do, how you choose to do it. I love that part of the roadmap is we've crafted it so that you will know what feels good for you. We can give you all these ideas. Real estate coaching companies always tell you these things you should be doing, but most people don't do it. And they don't do it because it's not in alignment to who they are. So let's find out what that is. And then you get to do that every day. I was talking to somebody today who was on the workshop. We were having our follow-up call. And he said, I realized that I want to do my business based on events. So now he's building a yearly plan based on doing events for his clients. Home buyer workshop, home seller workshop, investor workshop, skating events, fun events. So he gets to build his business based on what he wants to do. And that's what came out of the power plan. Our goal is to help you with clarity on what's important to you, why you want your goal, and then how are you going to do it based on what's in alignment to your personality and have fun at the same time.
And you said something there I want to touch on, and that was essentially what was missing. This we created this because you recognized almost 40 years in the industry, something that was really missing in what was being taught. Now, you were also working at the second end of your career in that industry with a brokerage that focused on development quite a bit, and you still recognize something that was highly missing in the industry. So there's two pieces. The first is for someone that isn't potentially working in an office that has any type of support. What you may find, and what we've seen anyways, is realtors may not see the value in investing in themselves in the first place. So I want to talk on that piece to start. So what would you say to someone that has never invested in themselves before? Like, what's the point in the first place, and what can they expect, and what's the value?
Okay, there's layers there. So as I start to answer, cut me off because
Okay.
make sure I stay on track. So being committed and investing in yourself. It's really interesting. I did a Google search. Actually, it wasn't Google, ChatGPT. Imagine that. I'm actually going to ChatGPT first now.
Yeah.
I was curious, what percentage of realtors invest in coaching? It said, there's no direct research to give that answer, but the understanding was 45% invest in coaching, training, some sort of support. So that tells me that 55% of people aren't even investing in themselves. So the first opportunity is look at those that are successful in the world, and do they have coaches? And do they have support systems whereby they've learned something and constantly learning? So not everybody's going to invest in themselves, and that's okay. If you're hitting it out of the park and you're happy where you are, fantastic. But I know myself, I've always had coaching, supports. I'm always taking workshops, programs. I'm always learning and growing my mind. And that's what I found was missing in the industry in all the training we were doing. How do I change my thinking at a deep rooted level? We named the company Be Do Have because it's based on that concept. How do I change my being? How do I change and reprogram my thinking? And that's what we incorporate in everything we do. We start with that sense of, okay, imagine your year is exactly the way you want it. You're making the money you want to make. Often it's more than we're currently making because we have a growth mindset. And that's this another piece to this. People that tend to invest in themselves have a growth mindset. There's always a better way to do something. So when we have that growth mindset and we're willing to do something about it, which means pay for it, that's what I encouraged everyone on the power plant call. I was so proud of them because they were willing to invest the two items that are so important to everybody, their time and money. And one of the coaches I had years ago, he said, when people pay, they pay attention. And I think that's very evident today because you go to Google, you can watch everything. There's
Yep.
always somebody sharing some way to do it. Are you information gathering or are you gathering and implementing? The value of coaching and putting yourself in environments where there is an accountability to it and there's a process to incorporate what you're learning and implementing it.
You're investing in someone to help see your blocks so you can move through them at a faster rate, but you do have to be willing to do that. Start to think about that for yourself. What blocks are naturally coming up? And even when we say mindset, think about your self talk. Think about the voice that's in your head. What are you thinking before you go to meet a client? What are you thinking when you're at an open house? What are you thinking when it's been a terrible month or a terrible couple months? What are the thoughts going through your head? That's your mindset. And it's reprogramming that so you're operating at a level that's going to get you to where you want to go faster. That super simplified version of this.
Tony Robbins, I remembered this years ago, talked about mentorship. And the value of mentorship is exactly what you just said. Mentorship fast tracks you. So if whatever it is you want, look for somebody that has it and then reach out to them. Ask them to be a mentor or a mentee. You want to get in their world because if they've already got what you're looking for, let's say they're here and you're here, whatever it is, money, time, wealth building, whatever. If you want, you're going to do it yourself, right? You can read all the books, chip away at it, or you can reach out to this person, pay for it, and all of a sudden you're getting everything that they know fast. I remember reading that early on in my career and thought, okay, that makes so much sense. It's the same reason why athletes have coaches and people around them to support them so that they are running at high efficiency all the time and peak performance.
And that taps right into also the reason we started the repeatable revenue roadmap. Because Jamie did come, like I said, from a place that did have agents, that was a brokerage that focused on investing in their people. So a lot of the agents at that specific brokerage had that mindset, but you still saw gaps in the industry, even being at a place that had that much training. I want to lean into that. What was the hole you were seeing, and what do you feel makes the repeatable revenue roadmap different?
I believe it's that community and the accountability of showing up. Phenomenal training, great trainers. You go in, you get all excited. And then one of our clients in the last session, he'd gone through a program. And at the end of the program, he went to the coach and said, okay, now what? And the coach said, go implement. See ya. Now you're sitting there feeling a bit stuck and lost. And the habits aren't strong enough yet. The belief may not be strong enough yet that what you've just learned will actually make a massive life difference and transformation. As a result, we tend to creep back to our old habits, our old self. And that whole be, do, have concept is about living a bigger life based on what we imagine we want and who we need to be. As we step into that future self, that new identity, we have to think different. We have to do things different. The value of our program is that it is over 12 weeks. There's 12 modules and it's repetition. It's repetition with implementation. And then we talk through challenges, right? So you learn, you implement, you talk through the challenges, and then the program's designed that you can repeat it every 90 days. And there's a process in place to do that.
And I think that's important to mention because I remember you saying this at some point, I don't know how many years ago now, but a lot of what you were seeing in the training space for realtors, you have to do this, it has to look like this, and you must do that constantly, and it has to be my way. And that's how people were training. And straight up, that doesn't work for every personality type. And we teach in a way that you figure out what works best for you and for your business so that you can be consistent in a way that feels good. It's finding the information in the first place, which is all done through a strategic 12-step system here. So you can learn it. And then there's a session to implement it based on your business and a session for how do I get real-time support based on the active situations that are happening in my world, whether that's with clients, whether that's at your office, whether that's with your team. Like it's that live support of, okay, taking that real life, real time, essentially speaking. So I think there's just so many layers to putting that together. And that's truly what we've created within this session.
And that real time support, it doesn't always come from me. And this is again the value of community is that you have people, realtors that are going through what you're going through that then start to share their challenges and what works for them. So we often see our members show up with a challenge or a question, and then I'll have perspective, obviously, and other people will share what they did and what worked for them. So you get to gather information from multiple sources. So then you can figure out what now works for you. And we do bring it, it's very holistic because it has to come from within. So you have to know yourself. We help you know yourself. We help you understand what makes you tick and what excites you. Because how cool would it be to run a real estate business based on having fun, what excites you? It just flows then, right? If we surrender to that, we don't have to worry about forcing it. A lot of the real estate training out there is you do this and you have to do it this way. The person's basically just sharing what maybe has worked for them. But if that's not in alignment to you, you might try, but you're not going to follow through. And that's what I've seen over and over. I'm sure everyone listening has probably started something and stopped. But when we find our unique ability and be able to connect with it and incorporate that into what we do, and then have a support system around you, magic starts to happen. And it's different for everyone. The frame is different for everyone, but you're on a journey with a group of people. You've invested in yourself, period of 12 weeks. You start to develop something that adds value to what you do. And you're not alone.
And to wrap this up, if you are experiencing some of those challenges we talked about at the beginning of today's episode, we talked about a few strategies you can implement, a few mindset pieces that you can start to put into play right now. That was essentially figuring out what was blocking you most, leaning into who your perfect client has been and how you connected with them in the first place. So you can do more of for the start of 2025, you have clarity on the income goal you want for the year. It's a 90-day goal you can put in place. And now you know, based on your dream client, what that best lead generation activity is for you. So I just wanted to wrap that up in a simplified base of something that you can do to move forward. Now, if you want to fast track that, the repeatable revenue roadmap details are going to be below. Jamie, what's one takeaway that you would give for any realtors right now to help keep that momentum up? Because it's not the end of the year yet.
I think finish strong. The whole attitude is we often talk about this. We're going to play till the buzzer. So what is your end date? If you judge and look at yourself on a monthly basis, you go until the end of the month. You go until the end of the year. We're talking about that right now. We're coming up into December. So depending when you're hearing this, it could be December, end of the month, whatever it is. Pick your drop dead date. Like when you're going to take a trip, you have to get on the plane. That's your drop dead date. Now you can work a plan based on that. Keep working, keep doing the activities. Don't quit, because often we quit just as we're almost ready to achieve the goal because we don't see how it's going to happen. We give up. I'm going to encourage everyone to stay committed to finishing strong. Keep having your connections. I think somebody else shared with me this yesterday as well when I was following up an attendee on the power plan, is that what he loved about it was it just brought so much clarity.
Yeah.
So he's now has a vision and a focus. The concept of your dream client. We all have dream clients. They're the ones that have great attitudes. We love to work with. They often expand just business relationships. So look to see who are 3 to 5 dream clients that you have in your life right now. I would reach out and connect with them. That's an action step that's going to cause you to feel good. It surrounds you with dream clients. And I shared this on the power plant call that dream clients know dream clients. So you can build your business through people that inspire you, that you like, that have great attitudes. Stay connected to that mindset of, I'm just going to work with dream clients and start to reach out, build relationships. And next thing, more and more dream clients start to show up.
And realtors, if you're looking to really start strong 2025 too and continue that motion forward and get that clarity, like Jamie was just talking about, getting that plan of action. So it takes some of this relief off of you to get to where you want to go faster. All the repeatable revenue roadmap details are below. You can book a call with Jamie. We want to make sure this feels like a good fit for you as well. If you're listening on YouTube, please follow us. We look forward to talking to you soon.